It's a Saturday at Truist Park, a mid-afternoon tilt. Marlins baseball is brought to you by Leon. When it counts, count on Leon. Leon Medical Center's medical excellence. Second of a three-game series between the Marlins and the Braves. And they certainly love their Braves here in Atlanta in the Battery. They've already welcomed their 1 millionth fan this season. Hontura on the bump, and it's the Major League debut of one of the Braves' top prospects, Michael Harris II. And it's also an advanced Saturday broadcast here for you on Bally Sports Florida. Ryan Spader will join us in the third and the fifth innings. We'll take a deep dive into a handful of different categories, some advanced metrics as we roll along. Inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino and JP Arancibia. So the point of this really is to shed some light on some of the language and the numbers and the stats and the metrics that the teams are discussing these days too.
Well, and not only are the teams discussing, but now players are starting to buy into it. They want to know what's going on. They want to know why decisions are made, and they want to know how they can use the stats to make them better, right? That's one thing that analytics does. And again, the respect of it throughout baseball nowadays and players coming through is a lot more than before, where it was a little bit the old school thought process. But what guys don't realize is the old school thought process is the same. Now they just have a way to quantify it.
Right. It's a little bit process-based as opposed to results-based. But again, we'll discuss it all. And one guy who's kind of an advanced Saturday darling, so we're thrilled he's going today, or any day for that matter, is Sandy Alcantara. He's coming off a complete game against these same Atlanta Braves his last time out.
Well, he needs to not change a thing until the Atlanta Braves adjust to him. He was phenomenal last game out, and the thing that I love, Paul, that separated him for me is he went into the dugout after that eighth inning and said, hey, the ninth inning is mine. You see the end of the game right there. He is the horse. He is undoubtedly the guy for this team, and I was talking to Mike Soroka about this earlier. He's like, man, if he had more strikeouts, everybody on the planet would be talking about him. But regardless of that, you see the ranks there. You see how great he is. You see the barrel rate. He is one of the best pitchers, and then, oh yeah, he throws absolute rockets as well.
That's right. ERA minus, by the way, so that is essentially he's 55% better than the league average earned run average. Again, we'll explain it all as we go along. All right, so how about Jorge Soler? He's another guy who lights up some of these advanced metric leaderboards, and he is a guy who has made some plenty of it noise, especially this month with 7 home runs.
Well, and that's the big thing. You start to see power hitters. The average is whatever it is. He's getting on base, and he's making guys pay, and that's what you want from Jorge Soler. This is a guy who also can play some good defense as well. People just see the power, but like you said, when it comes to advanced metrics, there is not many people in Major League Baseball that can hit a ball as hard as Jorge Soler. You see him leaving right center field right there in Tampa, and he is especially special, like I said, hitting the ball hard. You see exit velo 94, first in May, and that's something. Barrel percentage and exit velo, well, that ball is going to mean that he's hitting the ball hard and it's going far.
Right, and that isolated power, by the way, is essentially slugging percentage minus batting average, so that's going to really sort of isolate his power. That's why they call it isolated power.
That's a good.
We'll have much better explanations as we go along, no doubt about it. We're going to step aside though here as we continue to get you ready for Advanced Saturday. So baseball stats, some new ones, and maybe how they tie into some old ones as well. We're back in just a moment. Braves getting set for a little Saturday mid-afternoon baseball, the second game of this three-game series here in Atlanta at Truist Park. So we've talked a little bit about it over the course of this week, some articles written about it. Pythagorean win-loss percentage. The legendary Bill James came up with this one. It's basically how many runs have you scored, how many runs have you given up, and it's really, are you overachieving, underachieving, lucky, unlucky, and that whole thing. So the Marlins, according to Baseball Reference, actually, which keeps this number, they are a -5 at the start of play today. So that means, based on their run differential, they should be 23-20. They, of course, are not. So that's why you've heard us also say run distribution, because there's been a lot of the one-run losses. Last night, a 2-run loss. They've been losing some of those close games as they have really struggled here in May.
Well, it's funny because one of those, the stats would tell you well, they should be better than what they actually are. But then you start to go under the hood a little bit, and I think that's where those can be informative, but also can kind of throw you a little bit of a wrench, because, yeah, you can score a lot of runs on days that you win, and then on days that you lose by only a little bit, and it's like, great, that could be our record, but unfortunately it's not. And that's one of the ones, again, it's a little tricky once you start getting under the hood, especially for the Marlins, because offensively you see all their numbers, you see the runs they score, but then you see the record where it's at. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see what possibly it could be, but unfortunately, I think this one's working against the Marlins.
Right, and their record this month's not great, but their offense has been better, and the pitching has been that much worse. It's really not a huge difference. We'll dive into it more as we roll along here on a Saturday afternoon. When we come back, we'll get ready for some baseball. Sandy Alcantara and the Marlins look to even this 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves right after the break. Baseball on Valley Sports is brought to you by Leon. When it counts, count on Leon. Leon Medical Center's medical excellence. By the Florida Lottery, who reminds you to always play responsibly. And by your South Florida Hyundai dealers. A beautiful Saturday afternoon here at Truist Park in Atlanta. A Memorial Day weekend. A Military Appreciation Day here at Truist Park as well. So they had a lovely ceremony before the ball game, a flyover as well. Terrific stuff. And now we look at the Ocean Bank batting order for the Marlins. Jon Berti back in there, but he is in center field today. We'll explain why in just a bit. Garrett Cooper, Jorge Soler, and then Aguilar, Rojas, and Wendell, Stallings, De La Cruz, and Williams Astudillo will get the start. He is over at second. Tucker Davidson on the bump. And we're ready for some Saturday afternoon baseball. First pitch swinging, grounded, fouled outside of third, and we are underway. Fourth start of the season here for Tucker Davidson. 8th start of his career, a 19th round pick of the Braves back in 2016, coming off a loss against the Phillies his last time out. And there's a swing and a miss. I said 4th start. I meant 4th game. 3rd start. There was a relief appearance in there for him. Again, we'll see some of those advanced metrics throughout the broadcast today. Advanced Statter Day. We'll explain some or all if we can as we roll along this afternoon. We'll also talk with Ryan Spader coming up in the top of the 3rd, bottom of the 5th. 74-ish% contact rate there for Jon Berti. And a relatively high walk rate as well. But here down to the count, of ball and 2 strikes. And as we said the last time we did this, we'll try to do it once a month. That's our plan, to do it once a month. It just so happens that it's both been in Atlanta that we've done it. It's got nothing to do with the Braves. But these are things that teams talk about. These are certainly numbers that are in an awful lot of articles now online. It's kind of the new language of the game. So for those that are still considered kind of themselves old school fans, that's all right. We're here to help. 2-2 here to Jon Berti, and waved at and missed. That's the curveball from Davidson, and there's one away.
We'll take a look at the defense today. And we have a player making his debut. Michael Harris II, congratulations on your debut. And Adam Duvall in right field, and Marcelo Zuna in left. Austin Riley at third, Dansby Swanson at short, Ozzie Albies and Matt Olson. And then a little switch behind the dish, William Contreras.
Now there's Harris, a 3rd round pick back in 2019, born in DeKalb, Georgia. A little bit more on that with Kelly Sacco as we continue this afternoon. There's a pitch low to Garrett Cooper. He was 2 for 4 in last night's ball game. Had a 2-run home run. Marlins fell short though in the opener last night, 6-4. Ball and a strike now to Coop. He's had a really good year this year against the Braves. 10 for 19, 3 doubles, that home run last night, and 8 RBIs. Just under half of his ribbies, he's got 17 on the year, have come against Atlanta. fouled into the second deck, and we take you back to last night. Helped the Marlins get the scoring started.
Well, what does Garrett Cooper do? He sits on pitches. That right there, a changeup that he was sitting all over, kept his hands through. And yeah, you can go into a jog when you hit a ball that far for a home run.
Out to right field, Duvall toward the line, has just enough room. And there are two away.
Well, let's take a look at the Auto Nation scouting report for Tucker Davidson. Walk on the wild side. His last 2 starts, he's got 7 walks. In 10 innings, he's got 9 total. Smash the heater. Why? Because he's given up a .444 average against on the fastball, and his slider and curveball 167. And Amarillo by morning. He's from Amarillo, Texas. I thought it'd be fun to throw that in there, but he is kind of auditioning, so he may not be with the Braves if he doesn't absolutely take care of the opportunity that he has right now, because he's getting a look with the rotation spot open.
There's Brian Snitker, the Atlanta Braves, trying to get on some kind of a run. 5-3 in their last 8. They haven't had a winning streak or losing streak longer than 2 all year. So pretty steady Eddie in that regard. They're 22-24 at the start of play today. 7.5 back of the New York Mets in the National League East. 0-2 to Soler.
Yeah, this is a fastball right here that'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It's almost like you are getting ready, and then all of a sudden you see that ball coming at you. And sometimes what makes it tough, Paulie, is that pitch, when you see it, you possibly think it's a breaking ball because it starts at the same height. And then you realize halfway through it's a fastball, so it kind of frightens you a tad, but that's why you saw the breaking ball, the pitch after that, because it's usually you go fastball up, and then you go breaking ball off of that.
2 balls and 2 strikes from the lefty Davidson, blocked by Contreras, and the count is full.
Better get your hits early today too, because you know that shadow is going to start creeping little by little, and once that shadow comes onto this field, even I would want to be a pitcher.
Yeah, not going to be a lot of fun, and this is going to be the case for most, I believe, if not all, Saturdays until the All-Star break. The 4 o'clock starts for the Marlins. A strikeout there for Davidson, 2 in the inning, in a 1-2-3 first. Sandy goes to work after his CG next. Welcome back. Bottom of the first inning. Marlins go in order in the top half. And now we meet the Atlanta Braves. The Ocean Bank batting order looks like this. Ronald Acuna Jr. is back in the starting lineup at the big pinch hit last night. He's the DH. Swanson and Ozuna behind him. Riley, Olsen, and Albies make up the middle. William Contreras behind the plate. Adam Duvall is in right field. And Michael Harris II, the switch hitting center fielder, makes his major league debut. Hey, good luck, young man. Go out there and check out Sandy Alcantara, huh? Making his 10th start, coming off his 4th career complete game. It was against these Braves on Sunday afternoon. Acuna Jr. swings at the first pitch, fouls it back. 98 miles an hour, a career high 115 pitches last time out for Sandy. An error in the 9th inning made things a little bit more interesting. May have made some decisions a little bit more difficult for Don Mattingly, but Sandy stayed the course, finished the game, and as he always wants to do, finished what he started.
Well, he was spectacular against the Braves last time out, and you know, you talk about using all 4 quadrants of the zone. He uses the fastball up, the sinker down, uses the 4-seam down, the slider, the change. He can do it all. And it's a lot of fun when you have a pitcher like that. I was talking to Jacob Stallings. I said, so after a game like that, what do you do? You know, are you going to try to do anything different? He says, listen, he has so many different ways to get people out that I don't even ever have to really worry about getting into patterns.
That's taken low to Ronald Acuna Jr. Donnie was talking about that today as well. In this instance, it's Sandy against the Braves, but generally speaking, as a catcher in a game plan, are you trying to outsmart the hitters, or you just say, hey, you didn't do it last time, here it is again?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's Sandy Alcantara, right? You have to make sure that you remember Why is he special? What does he do that makes him special? And the other guys have to adjust to that. Remember, it's a game of failure for hitters. So he's already at the advantage. Now, if they show that they make an adjustment, you can make an adjustment off of that. But that's the one thing. He needs to stay his course, what got him here, what makes him successful, and then adjust whatever he has to. And that's one thing. When you have a fastball that's up to 100 miles an hour, Paul, pretty much you can tell people, hey, listen, I'm going to do what I need to do. If you guys want to adjust, you have fun.
Payoff pitch to Acuna Jr. Did he go? He did. So that's a strikeout and one away. All right, so let's take you back to last Sunday and Sandy against the Braves. His pitch arsenal, StatCast 3D, powered by Google Cloud.
Well, I loved how he mixed in that sinker, the slider, and the changeup combination. The four seam is to keep guys honest, that he can throw it up in the zone by you. That sinker and changeup, you can see the orange and the green, they kind of have the same exact shape. That's what he has to do to make sure that he can really disguise that changeup and then that slider down away, which you saw 3-2 right there. And that's a tough pitch when it's 92 miles an hour, Paul.
He had a season-high 7 strikeouts that last time out. He's registered his first of the afternoon here and now faces Dansby Swanson, who he is ahead of 0-1. Didn't get the call in the outside corner there, and it's a ball and a strike. A lot of strikeouts for Swanson, the high K percentage. But lately he has been swinging a hot bat, and when he does connect, it's been some damage. Kind of like that. Although 90 feet worth of damage that time. A 1-out single for Swanson.
Well, you saw John Birdie in center field. Let's take a look at the rest of the defense. Jorge Soler back in left. Brian De La Cruz getting the start in right field. Joey Wendell at third. Miggy Rowe at short. Williams Astudillo making the start at second base. Garrett Cooper at first. And Stallings behind the dish. And there was a little bit of a shakeup before the game started, so a little different than we expected.
Yeah, we got the original lineup, and Brian Anderson was in there in right field with De La Cruz in center, but some back spasms for Anderson created the need for a switch. Birdie goes from second to center, moves De La Cruz from center to right, and the Marlins insert Williams Astudillo at second base. It'll be his first start of the year. A couple of at-bats against the Rays earlier this week. And ball one low to Marcell Ozuna, left fielder for Atlanta, 0 for 4 last night, which snapped his 12-game hit streak. A guy who used to seeing a pretty hefty number there in that hard hit percentage column. Bounce to Wendell, goes to Astudillo, turns it to first, and it's a double play. Sandy gets the 5-4-3 DP. And 12 pitches get him out of the first. And Braves on a Saturday afternoon here at Truist Park. An advanced Saturday broadcast for you, so some extra advanced metrics on your screen throughout the afternoon. We'll talk with Ryan Spader coming up, top of the third and bottom of the fifth, to look at things through a little bit of a different lens. Top two, Jesus Aguilar leading things off. Miguel Rojas and Joey Wendell due up against Tucker Davidson, who needed 16 pitches to get through the first. Couple of Ks. And now facing Aguilar, who takes strike one. Jesus, the DH this afternoon, was 1 for 4 last night, had a 2-run home run. And his home run last night at the time gave the Marlins a 1-run lead.
Well, this is what happens when you miss your spot in the major leagues. Trying to go down and away, creeps back up, and Jesus Aguilar leans back right there. Keep it fair. A little bat toss, and like you said, it gave the Marlins a 2-run lead, and he loves hitting at Truist Park.
There's a few Marlins that like hitting at Truist Park. Talked to Jazz about it, of course not in the lineup today, but he loves hitting here.
Yeah, it's like they come to Atlanta and they all start to get a little happy. that plane touchdown. All these guys know where they hit well, what teams they play well against.
He draws the leadoff walk, and the Marlins have their first base runner. All right, let's take a look at StatCast 3D powered by Google Cloud. This is the pitch arsenal from the side and the velocity differences here for Tucker Davidson.
Well, it's really a fastball, slider, and a curveball. You see, they have that sinker mixed in there, but really he hasn't thrown that much at all. It's a four-seamer. The slider and the curveball, they're hitting a .167 off of that. So those are two good pitches. And that's why going into it, I said, hey, got to get on the gas. Why? Because they're hitting 444 on the fastball. And as you can tell already today, Paul, a lot of usage with those breaking pitches.
Miguel Rojas 0 for 2 with a walk last night. Bats with one on and nobody out. Grounds one foul toward the Marlins dugout. Quickly 0-2.
I would imagine today you're going to see a lot of breaking balls. You're going to see slider and curveball, mixing in a fastball every once in a while. But to this point, he's thrown only 36% fastballs. If you add that, he's got two sinkers in there. So about 44% fastballs. You're going to see a lot of breaking pitches.
Line drive, center field, and Michael Harris makes the play. Join the Miami Marlins for an NFT art display at Lone Depot Park on Friday, June 3rd. Art lovers and baseball fans can experience approximately 20 pieces of NFT Bored Ape art displayed throughout the ballpark. Level up your access with tickets to the pregame party experience at Recess Sports Lounge with the Magic City Apes from 5 to 6 p.m. Learn more at marlins.com/boredape.
Need a little bit more excitement at Marlins Park, or at Lone Depot Park.
There's already a lot of excitement at Recess. Now it's going to be a little bit more.
Yeah, no, but I know that the Bored Ape is an NFT, but I mean, Sandy's pitching today. Could be excited.
Sure. Here's Joey Wendell, 1 on, 1 out. 1 ball and no strikes. Here it comes from Davidson in there. There's the slider to Wendell, who returned last night. It was his first game since May 11th. Was 0 for 3 with a strikeout, but back out there today. Another guy like Miguel Rojas, who we just saw, high contact rate, low strikeout percentage.
How great is that when you look at those numbers? You know, over 80% contact. He's just the consummate pro. It's every time it's a good at bat. He does little things the right way. And almost 86%. Doesn't strike out. Back to back too with those guys. You know, the pitchers are probably like, why? Give me a little break. I don't want to have to deal with two guys that foul balls off all the time.
Now they just make it difficult for the opposition. Very rarely are you going to see one of those 3, 4, maybe even 5 pitch strikeouts. I mean, of course, they will strike out over the course of the season, but not a lot of those good morning, good afternoon, good night kind of at bats. If they do go down, they'll go down with a fight. Bouncer. Davidson's got it. Throws to first. And moving up is Aguilar. And time for our youth player of the game. It's Jacob, a catcher, 8 years old, playing for the Thunder. And he, along with Jazz and a lot of others, are hoping that Jazz can get back out there. Donnie said today he certainly hopes that Jazz will be available today. Jazz has said that he feels pretty good. But, of course, a guy who plays at 1,000% every day and a hamstring issue, you want to be super, super careful. If it's the difference between an extra day or two now or 3 to 4 weeks later, I think we'd all take the extra day or two now. Ground ball right side for Albies. And Stallings is retired. Marlins can't do anything with the leadoff walk. Scoreless in Atlanta. Alcantara got him out of the first inning, needing just 12 pitches. Time for Energizer long-lasting So most times throwing 7 innings or more and 3 or less hits. How about Sandy Alcantara? This is, of course, in Marlins history. Josh Johnson leading the charge at 15, but the way Sandy's been going, JP, you figure that not only is he going to catch JJ, but he might pass him and leave him in the dust.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Take a look, take a picture right now, because he's going to be moving up mightily quick on that list and eventually be the leader in the clubhouse.
First pitch, Riley, bouncing ball. I wonder if that took a funky hop there on Astudillo. It may have hit the lip, I think.
Yeah, that definitely hit the lip of the grass right there and then stayed down. This is an unfortunate part right here. Boom, hits that lip, and you see it stay down and take a bad hop. Miguel Rojas, who does a good job of sticking with it to try to get that out at first base. But those are one of those where you can't really prepare for that. You can take 1,000 ground balls, and that may never happen. So Riley with his head down, he got lucky right there, because if he didn't peek up, he might have been thrown out.
So an infield single to start this second inning. And now Matt Olson swings and misses. That's strike 1. Olson last night 0 for 3 with a walk, 3 strikeouts, and a run scored. Strikeout percentage up over 23%. But his extra base hit percentage is not too shabby. The only problem is this one for the old school group. The batting average not great, under 250 to start. But for Olson, 42 hits, 18 are doubles. He's tied for the National League lead in that category, and he's got 5 home runs. And some of that, JP, as you know, may be a little front loaded. Of course, his last 20 plus games, he's hitting well under 200.
Well, that's the thing. He started off on absolute fire. When we came over here, it was like, holy smokes, this guy doesn't get out, even if he tries to get out. And then come back to earth a little bit. But you know the way the pendulum swings in this game. And it's the ebbs and flows of going well and bad. And you know when he takes off, it's probably going to be not a lot of fun to play against him here in the near future. He can wait till after this weekend if he'd like.
Oh, for sure. The Marlins have done a good job with him all season long. 3 for 27. All 3 of those hits have been doubles. 2 balls and 2 strikes with Riley off of first base. And that one fouled straight back.
Well, he had that big one off of Richard Blyer. That little bloop double down the right field that ended up helping the Braves win the game. So he's hit them at the right time. It feels like the Braves, somebody always has the one swing that kind of puts them over the top against the Marlins. Yesterday, Acuna.
And it's partly when the hits come and how much damage the hits bring with them. The Braves are hitting just .225 against the Marlins this year, but 20 doubles and 10 home runs. There's a swing and a miss. And Olson down on strikes. That's the second strikeout this afternoon for Sandy. 1 away. Now a word from FPL.
FPL is powering the EV revolution with one of the largest fast charging networks in the state. See how at fpl.com/EVready.
You've changed.
I know. Here's Ozzie Albies. Albies last night was 1 for 4, had a double, drove in a couple. He held up there, no swing. That's Chris Conroy, the crew chief today. Lance Barksdale is at second. Dan Merzel is over at first, and Carlos Torres, the home plate umpire. Hits in 9 of 10 for Albies, who asks for time. Ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. .310 for Albies in that 10-game stretch. And that's down the right field line, but foul.
Yeah, that's a good job right there of not necessarily giving in. And that's what Sandy Alcantara can do. You know, he's got that 98-mile-an-hour fastball whenever he wants it in his back pocket, but he also can mix in a change at 92 and mix in a slider. And right there, 2-0 count doesn't mean that you're going to get a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. And all that does, Paul, is really take the sting off of the bat, because 2-0, he throw you a changeup, you're out in front, you hit it off the end. Now you're just not geared up for fastball, because if he's thrown you 3 in a row, he'll throw it at any point.
Fouled at the plate, and that got a piece of Jacob Stallings. Think reaching for that left forearm there.
Take a look right here. Oh, yeah. That's right off the old left forearm right there, off the mask, just to put an exclamation on that right there. And that's going to hurt. He'll feel that one tomorrow and probably the day after. You ever been hit in the forearm and it feels like there's like a little knot in there after that?
Yeah.
Well, imagine that at 96 off the bat. It's fun, right?
Sounds like, yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm good. I'm good in the low impact activity in which I do every day right here.
Okay.
This is all good. It's perfectly fine for me.
Just in case.
Although I
feel how it feels.
I do twist my ankle leaving the booth every once in a while.
I can imagine it's tough. I saw you walking around the city. You know, if you have to step down off of a curb or something.
Yeah, you gotta get your steps in.
Yeah.
Get some fresh air.
You go down, though, we're in big trouble. So you can't go to the IL.
I'm a gamer, dude. You know that. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Riley off of first. Sandy delivers to Albies and elevates the fastball at 98. Back-to-back strikeouts and 2 away. So for Sandy Alcantara on this advanced statter day, we take a look at his percentile rankings thanks to the good folks at Baseball Savant. So the average exit velocity, he's in the 89th percentile there. Got some actual result numbers with the hard hits, but also some expected numbers, expected ERA, expected batting average, and slug based on the quality of the contact, taking defense out of the mix. And then the fastball velocity. He kind of lives in that 95, 98 percentile range. Bouncer towards short. Marlins get out of the inning after the ball hit the lip. When we come back, we'll talk with Ryan Spader on Advanced Saturday next. Truist Park here in Atlanta, and inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino and JP Arancibia. And on these advanced Saturdays that we do once a month, we also like to bring in a guest who knows a little bit more than JP and I. And that lucky person today is Ryan Spader. Ryan, thanks for joining us. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys, and I really appreciate you having me on. I'm not sure how much more I know than you, but I certainly know more than JP. I can guarantee that.
Wow.
So
Shots fired already.
That's good. Didn't take long at all. Yeah, no, JP booked the guest, so, you know, he just wants to make sure. This is a line drive out towards center field. Michael Harris makes the play on De La Cruz. So let's get to it with 1 out here in the 3rd inning. So, of course, advanced metrics, they're all the rage right now. There's a million of them to choose from, but I want to play a little game. It's called Ryan Just Woke Up from a Long Winter's Nap and hasn't seen baseball in 7 months, but he's going to watch a Marlins-Braves game today. What are the 2, 3, 4, whatever the number is, advanced metrics that you'll look at to get a sense of where these teams or these players are?
Oh, you know what? It's funny. I think everybody now defaults to WAR, wins above replacement. And that's whether they're using the baseball reference formula or the Fangraphs formula, or I think Perspective has their own formula as well. And I don't think you can look at that for an individual game. I think what you have to look at is how a batter performs against like pitchers. And that's oftentimes what I do when I'm trying to make a pick for a game. And you're looking at a case now with Sandy out there on the bump, and there really aren't many like pitchers. There aren't many like pitchers to Pablo Lopez, who was actually my Cy Young pick for this year. And it's really difficult to evaluate game to game how statistically how a guy's going to perform, and that's why I'm still actually a firm believer. And this is people are surprised to hear this, but I'm also a firm believer in you got to go with feel. I think Gabe Kapler is the best example of this because he struggled as the Phillies manager and then took over for the Giants, and he's done a great job. He's very analytical, but he's done a wonderful job with the Giants in also going with the feel. Sometimes you throw out a lefty to face two lefties, and the third or fourth hitter is a righty, and you just got to go with how he's performing on that particular day. It's a really difficult thing to look at numbers and say, hey, this is how it's going to play out on a spreadsheet, because we say it all the time. Baseball is not played on the spreadsheet.
Yeah, you never know if a guy had a bad night's sleep or maybe a newborn at home, and there's a lot going on at the house. No, I get it. I think you're right. I imagine you agree with that too.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with it. But there are things that I think that now you're able to explain. The barrel percentage and the different things where the ex-WOBAs and all the other advanced statistics that would say, hey, this is what happens. If he's hitting the ball hard and he just has bad luck, and then this explains that. What are the ones that you look at for offensively that, if you made a decision on a player that you would want to really emphasize on?
Well, JP, you're making me look bad here because you nailed it right there. I think you often have to look at how hard a guy's hitting the ball. My favorite example, I think, was Manny Machado in 2017 or 18 because he was like leading the league in hard hit balls, which is defined by StatCast as 95 miles per hour or more. But he was batting like 220. The dude had just had the worst luck possible. I would say it was similar to Wade Boggs when he had that 1992 season with the Red Sox that ended up resulting in him getting signed with the Yankees. But he was just having awful luck, and sometimes that just happens in baseball. You're looking at a course of a season, maybe 600 plate appearances, and if 10 of them don't go your way, you're looking at a massive impact to your numbers. It can impact them. I'm trying to go off the top of my head here, 1.67% one way or the other way, and I oftentimes look at how hard is a guy hitting the ball, and sometimes the result is he's just hitting it right at somebody. And Manny Machado is my favorite example, 2017 or 18. He made me look like a genius because I said he was going to have a second half MVP-like season, and sure enough, he did.
Yeah, and last time we did this, again, we try to do these once a month. We looked at batting average on balls in play, which is a little bit of that luck-based sort of statistic, too. It takes home runs out of the mix, of course, because it's not a ball that a defensive player can make a play on. But we see that a lot, and there's always that the buzz phrase now is regression to the mean. You'll see a guy with a batting average on balls in play of 390, but you figure eventually the luck's going to go the other way, and certainly that can go the other way for guys that are hitting 220. Avisail Garcia was one of those guys. The first few weeks of the season, low BABIP, but it's gotten better, and we're starting to see some more hits fall in.
I couldn't agree more here because I think one thing that people often miss is that regress to the mean doesn't always mean get worse. Sometimes it means a guy's going to get it right. And I think you really nailed it with the 220 batting average, just hitting the ball, scorching the ball.
Well, that was scorched over toward third. Cooper lines out. We're going to have much more with Ryan Spader as we continue. We're going to step aside here. Scoreless in Atlanta, mid-third. All right, welcome back. Sandy Alcantara goes to work here, bottom of the third inning. We are joined by Ryan Spader and talking a little bit more on advanced statter day. And while I know we want to get into Sandy eventually, I also want to get in, you teased it before, you went with Pablo as your Cy Young pick. And I'll tell you what, a month or two into the season here, you look like a genius. I mean, he's been fantastic. as Adam Duvall is going to lead things off here in the bottom of the third inning. What led you to thinking that Pablo was going to have maybe a breakout or Cy Young type season?
So I've been really impressed with Pablo's ability to get swings and misses, despite the fact that he doesn't have an overpowering fastball. He doesn't have a fastball that even moves all that much. He's just got great placement. And to me, I look at this guy and I watch him and I see it's difficult to call anybody Greg Maddux, but I see that level of placement with him. And he also gets a ton of chases, which currently he's ranking in the 91st percentile in chase rate in Major League Baseball. So I just really like what I see out of him. And I just thought this was the year for him. And like you said, for the first month, I was looking pretty good. The last month, if a 3.34 ERA in terms of results is bad, I think I'll take that every single time. He's still got opponents batting .235 against him with only a .279 on-base percentage just in May.
Yeah, I think he's, one of the nastiest pitchers in baseball. And why is it chase rate so important for you and the swing and miss? Why is that such a big number for you?
Because essentially what you're doing there, in my point of view, and I hate saying this to somebody who actually played the game, but what you're doing there is you're creating strikes out of pitches that otherwise would not be strikes. And when you steal strikes, similar to how catchers often do by framing pitches, but when you're stealing strikes, you're stealing outs. And when you're stealing outs, you're stealing runs. You're stealing runs, you're stealing wins. Over the course of 162 games, that's going to make a huge impact on a team.
Well, Pablo has been phenomenal to watch, as has Sandy Alcantara, who is going today. A 3-2 count here on Adam Duvall. We'll dive into some advanced numbers here on Pablo in just a bit. Sandy is now, the hitters at least, maybe not so much Sandy. Sandy likes it, but the hitters starting to deal with some shadows creeping out. And, well, we'll just give Sandy the credit. That's a heck of a pitch. He gets the strikeout of Adam Duvall. So, all right, so here we go. Some advanced numbers here for Pablo Lopez. ERA minus. We touched on this just a little bit in our open. There's ERA plus. There's ERA minus. ERA minus is, you see that 52 there, is basically 52% better or 52% lower than the average ERA in Major League Baseball. And you mentioned WAR earlier. And then we've got xFIP, SIERA, and opponent batting average on balls in play. xFIP for me, and I like to look into some of these things. I'll let folks in behind the curtain. xFIP is not a definition that really rolls off the tongue for me. Do you have a practical application, an easier definition to help us out with what exactly xFIP is?
So I think for xFIP, and X generally, I think actually always in terms of baseball stats means expected. I do understand where you're coming from with the application of it, because what you're talking about is expected fielding independent pitching, right? But a pitcher is always going to pitch with his team behind him. So you expect that team will impact his ERA one way or the other. I think where you can actually apply it is when it comes to relief pitchers, because I think oftentimes relief pitchers end up having an inflated ERA because maybe they have one or two bad outings. And if you go ahead and look at their FIP, their fielding independent pitching, or their xFIP, it actually may be a lot better. And when I'm measuring a reliever, I'm not trying to look at what he does in terms of overall. What I'm trying to do is how many effective outings in terms of a percentage does he have. And if you're looking at over 90% of effective outings, but somebody who has an ERA that's, high threes, low fours, or even higher, well, it's probably still an effective pitcher. And I'd be more inclined to take that guy than somebody who has a mid-threes ERA, but is frequently giving up a run in his outing versus having a shutdown outing.
It's 1-2 strikes here on Ronald Acuna Jr. with 2 outs here, bottom of the 3rd inning. Acuna Jr., of course, a guy who's going to, over the course of a season, once he gets enough at-bats to qualify, is going to find himself in a lot of these leaderboards. If you look at Baseball Savant or Fangraphs or any of the other kind of advanced websites out there, and he has been a thorn in the Marlins' side. There's no doubt about that. What do you like most about Ronald Acuna Jr.?
So, to be honest with you, now I'm going old school on you. I love about Acuna that he's like, if you go over his last 162 games, he's a 40-40 guy. And I think, unfortunately, he's gotten bit by the injury bug a couple times here. I don't think it's really to any fault of his own or his conditioning or anything like that. But I just love the way this guy plays the game. And I look at him almost like, I think the best comparison I could have for Acuna is Eric Davis from the 80s with the Reds, and that's kind of how I view him as a potentially a perennial 40-40 guy, as long as he keeps swiping bases.
Well, I tell you what, we those of us that have watched enough Marlins and Braves games know that there's certainly a history between these two, whether they be purpose pitches or not. But with 2 strikes, you have to imagine, JP, that one just got away from Sandy. As Acuna went out to the mound, Sandy kind of said, "My bad." And now Acuna Jr. is trying to shake out that left arm.
Well, that was 99 just above the pad right there. And you have to pitch in. And really, if you think about it, up and in, that's where most guys have a blue zone, not a red zone, not a hot zone. It's a cold zone. And so unfortunately you miss, but you have to go up and in there and not be scared to miss, because if you miss back over the plate, usually that ends up in the Hank Aaron terrace. So that's why you have to be aggressive in that part of the zone.
And earlier we talked about Pablo Lopez last year in this ballpark. And Ryan, we'll get back to the advanced stuff in just a moment here, but last year in this ballpark, Pablo on the first pitch of the game, we know Pablo, I'll go to bat for him here, inadvertently hit Ronald Acuna Jr. He was ejected after the first pitch of the game. Both sides then have to defend each other's players in the whole 9 yards. And I said then, and then this gets back to kind of how you attack him on a night-to-night basis. When he got thrown out of that ball game, what I felt at the moment was, I forget who the umpire was, but basically said that the Marlins, for the next however long Acuna plays, they can't pitch him inside. And you have to be able to pitch him inside, because you need to open up the outside of the plate. And if you're facing a very talented player in Acuna Jr. and you're going to miss, you'd rather miss in off the plate than out over the plate if you're aiming for the inside corner.
Now, I'll take it a little bit further. I'd rather miss behind him than even have it come back over the plate. You know, and that's really a compliment to Acuna Jr. And really think about this. All good hitters, Paul, what do they like to do? They drive the ball. What do good hitters do when they drive the ball? They need it not close to them. They need it out over the plate. And they also hit hanging breaking balls, and that's because they can hang out over the plate. So how do you effectively pitch to them? Well, you have to throw them up and in. Unfortunately for Ronald Acuna, he got hit with Sandy Alcantara's fastball, which is 99 miles an hour.
And then he gets picked off. So, Ryan, we'll be back with you in just a little bit. We'll come back in the 5th inning and chat a little bit more. Sandy Alcantara works out of the little jam there. Ryan, thank you. We'll talk to you in just a bit. We step going on that last half inning. The hit by pitch that gets Acuna Jr. on, and then the pickoff as he's sorting out his equipment over there at first base.
Oh, that's so awesome. That's not going to feel good, especially when you just got hit and then you get picked off. I don't mean to laugh, but that's kind of funny.
Well, again, not you, the collective you'll look at the numbers and you'll see the hit by pitches of Acuna Jr. by the Marlins, and it's a high number. But you could say the same thing about Miggy and Brian Anderson. But in that spot, just to be clear, and I think we're both on the same page, in that spot, no
There's
intent.
Zero intent.
Okay.
No, absolutely zero intent. And here's the other part about that, right? Let's flip the script. Garrett Cooper. How many times has he been hit throughout the season already? Up and in, right? Why? Because if he extends his hands, he hurts you. these are guys that hurt you. And so what do you have to do? You have to come in. If you do not establish in as a hitter, all you do is hang out over the plate, and you absolutely crush guys. So there was zero intent there, but unfortunately that's the way this game is.
So back to work. Tucker Davidson, still a scoreless game here, top of the 4th inning. Again, much more to come with Ryan Spader as Soler walks to lead off the inning. Our Florida Lottery in-game jackpot, the average exit velocity on fly balls and line drives. Not just overall contact, but balls that are up off the ground that you figure could end up being some extra base hits. And Soler's on the list with Judge and Stanton, and then Guerrero and Austin Riley as well. So these guys, they certainly tag the baseball, but especially on the fly balls and the line drives, which are going to be extra base hits.
Well, and those guys, and then you think about it, the way it works, right, is you look at those numbers and you can tell that they're all high home run guys. Why? Because even when they hit a ball, Paul, it can still get out of the ballpark, right? So, you know, you look at these guys, and the difference is where somebody who averages 93 miles an hour on the exit velocity and they hit a ball, it might get to the warning track, but for the guys that we just saw on that list, it might get to the second row. And that's a difference over 162 games of 30 home runs or 15.
Ball in 2 strikes here on Aguilar. Ground ball foul outside of third. One more game in this series comes your way tomorrow afternoon. Hyundai presents the Marlins Live pregame show. Our coverage starts at 1. First pitch a little after 1:30. Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson will get you ready for that one. Max Fried and Eliezer Hernandez, the 2 starting pitchers. Marlins will then head to Denver, Colorado for a 3-game set against the Rockies. The 3rd stop on this road trip. Blocked by Contreras.
I was going to say, I sure hope those mountains are blue.
Nice.
Yeah, see, you like what I did there?
That's good. And save those jokes for Denver, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying pace yourself. That's all I'm saying. Not that they don't make sense. I'm just saying pace yourself.
Feeling froggy on a Saturday.
Well, I don't know how froggy the hitters are going to feel over the next 45 minutes to hour here with the shadows now creeping out in front of home plate.
I'll tell you what, when you're a hitter and you start to see that, you start to think, good Lord, guess right. Because if you see the ball come out of the hand, you swing where you think it's going to be, but if it's not there, you just literally have no chance. You can't tell spin. And it becomes really, really hard to hit. And that's why when you talk to guys, they don't like these 4 o'clock games because the shadows come out and they really aren't used to it.
Well, already the 3rd full count here for Davidson. 7th pitch of the at-bat on the way to Aguilar. And it bounces in for ball 4, goes to the backstop. And Soler is going to stop at second base. So back-to-back walks to start the inning. Nothing beats a memorable day out with the family. Join us for Sunday Fun Day on June 5th as the Marlins take on the Giants at 1:40. Kids will receive a Billy mug presented by Valley Sports Florida. Plus, enjoy pregame activities on the West Plaza and let them go all out running the bases after the game. Learn more at marlins.com/giveaways. Well, that's 4 walks already for Davidson, so 13 walks. As Rick Kranitz comes out to talk with Davidson, 13 walks in 13 1/3 innings for the youngster.
Yeah, and you could tell that they are not going to give in at all, because even right there on that full count to Jesus Aguilar, he just spiked a breaking ball, a curveball. And we've talked about the usage and how he was going to use his pitches today. Well, He is using a ton of off-speed today. He is 35% slider, 16% curveball. Not a lot of fastballs, and he definitely wasn't going to give Aguilar one right there so that he could leave the yard. You know, home runs come in bunches.
Well, you'd love to see the Marlins break the scoreless tie here, crack the scoreboard, and do some damage. You got the youngster on the ropes, 4 walks here with 2 batters into the 4th inning. 4 walks total, of course. And Miggy, who lined out to center his first time up. Getting close to 60 pitches for the lefty Davidson. Soler at second, Aguilar at first, and Miggy fouls it back.
I was going to say, jokes that the corners are in. They really think that they're going to sack bunt. They don't even know. I don't know if that's a word anymore. Might have to remove it from the dictionary.
Now, if you're Contreras or Stallings, is part of a pep talk out there to be like, listen, dude, they can't see what you're throwing up here, so don't get too cute.
Well, I mean, yeah, you definitely want to tell your pitcher that.
On a hop to Swanson, he sticks with it, but couldn't get it out of his glove, and the Marlins will have the bases loaded. I don't know if that kind of handcuffed him there on a late hop, and couldn't get a grip on it, so yeah, now the Marlins definitely in business, bases loaded, nobody out.
Well, he might have the sticky stuff on his hand, who knows, because that ball almost got stuck when he went to toss it. You see, he holds on to it just a little long and pulls that ball. You know, he fielded that cleanly, and I don't know if he maybe didn't have a grip on it or whatever happened, but he held on to that baseball a little bit too long. And fortunately for the Marlins, a big mistake there, because that would have been a double play. And now you got bases loaded with Mr. Contact himself, so you feel like you're in a good situation to score a run right here.
And 3 on the right side of the infield. This one out to center field. Should get the job done. Soler tags. Harris makes the catch. And it's a sacrifice fly for Joey Wendell. So the Marlins get 1. So we'll leave it to Wendell for some good situational hitting there. Marlins get a run on an out.
Well, and what I love, Paul, about Joey Wendell is just the awareness of, hey, what he is going to do, the plan, right? A lot of guys go up there and, you know, try to do too much. That was a simple approach. I'm going to get a pitch to hit. I'm going to drive it to the outfield, and we're going to get this run in, right? First pitch, get it done. Nothing crazy. And because of that, you're able to score a run. Sometimes guys try to do a little too much, and then you roll over a ball, and all of a sudden you got a double play and out of the inning. Not with no outs, but out of the inning as far as like having an opportunity to put up a good number.
That one taken low to Jacob Stallings, who has 9 RBIs in his last 14 games. Right here, a situation where you'd love to see contact. Put the ball in play, make the defense make the plays. Let's see if you can get more than 1 here in this 4th. There's a ground out to second, Stallings' first time up.
How long do you think they're going to think about that hit or not hit? I mean, you think by the end of this inning we'll have a decision?
Which one are we talking about here? Oh, they still, I just put it down as a single. I didn't even think about it. That's going to be a 6-4-3 double play, and the inning is over. Marlins get the 1. 1-0. By Leon when it counts. Count on Leon. Leon Medical Center's medical excellence. By La Lechonera, making meals a home run since 1970. And by Chevy, find new roads at your South Florida Chevy dealer. Just outside the ballpark here. A 1-0 Marlins lead here as we check in with Kelly Sacco.
Thanks, Paul. Dansby Swanson leading off for the Braves. He is one of many homegrown talent here for this Braves organization. And over the years, they have loved to pick up guys who grew up. Here's just a few notable ones. You see Dansby, Jeff Francoeur, who's now with the broadcast, Brian McCann, Tyler Flowers, and the list goes on. Over the offseason, they happen to sign Matt Olson, also a homegrown Brave. He said Atlanta checked every single box for him. He's got his family here, the defending World Series champions. How could he say no? And of course, today, the Braves' top prospect, Michael Harris, the second, making his debut, also from Atlanta, grew up just 30 minutes away from him. He said it was a surreal feeling seeing his name in the lineup. 5 current Braves on this team right now, guys, from the Atlanta area, from Georgia. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's not too far from what we see a lot of other teams try to do. The Marlins are certainly one of them. You got a lot of young players, high school, college players in South Florida and Florida in general with the great weather. So competition's always high. Usually breeds pretty good ball players. Ground ball toward Miggy. Makes the play over to first, and Swanson retired.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of talent in Miami, that's for sure. Now the new star from Miami as of late is that MJ Melendez. He's been swinging the bat for the Kansas City Royals, and I could say that we've adopted Jorge Soler and Avisail Garcia as well as Miami guys, and now they've signed to play with the Marlins. So I know a little different than homegrown, but we adopt him in Miami as a homegrown guy. Frank Coor, by the way, not a lot of fun to be around. He's always, he's the broadcast for the Atlanta Braves, and I don't know how he made it into the big leagues. He's a little special.
For former Marlin Jeff Frank Coor, swing and a miss.
The New York Met killer himself.
No, that was Chipper, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, Chippers.
Sandy goes to work, 0-2 on Ozuna and misses outside. There's Jeff Frank Coor working with the great Chip Carey this weekend. They had a really fun broadcast out in right center field last night by the Chop House. This one's not going to make it to the Chop House. A fly ball out towards center field. John Birdie underneath it makes the catch for the second out.
Well, thank goodness that's not making it to the Chop House, because that had some serious height on it right there, and that was a just missed category. But the difference with a couple of millimeters in this game, the difference of a home run, launch angle, and it's crazy. Walking around the stadium today, Paul, and I'm sure you saw this too with Acuna, they were showing the degrees on some of the screens. They were showing like degrees of launch angle,
yes,
of like, good, bad. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sometimes we'll refer to sweet spot percentage, and how often does a player square up a baseball in terms of like the exit velocity being a certain number within a launch angle range as well that would lead to extra base hits. One ball, one strike here to Austin Riley. He swings and misses, now 1-2. And Sandy's got the good stuff working today. He's got a 1-0 lead here last of the 4th inning. Five strikeouts, 2 hits allowed. And now a 1-2. Taking a little bit low.
Yeah, just your average breaking ball at 94 miles an hour. Normal stuff. Fastball 98.9 miles an hour. Just, what you expect to see in the 4th inning from any day starter.
Or that, a called strike 3. He's got 6. We'll talk more advanced metrics as Ryan Spader will rejoin us on an advanced Saturday coming up from Atlanta right after the break. All right, welcome back. A 1-0 lead here, top of the 5th inning. Another advanced Saturday broadcast for you here on Bally Sports Florida. We try to do this once a month and not necessarily talk at the audience, but help the audience kind of understand some of the things in the jargon and lexicon that teams are using these days, the players are using these days, and help maybe open up and expand the mind a little bit. Paul Severino and JP and CB here in the broadcast booth. We talk again with Ryan Spader. Ryan, one thing that we talked about coming into this was isolated power. So essentially the easy definition here is slugging percentage minus batting average, right? And then that's a way to kind of isolate raw power for a player, right?
So, yeah, I think one thing that ISO leaves out, though, and this is why I'm an advocate, I like secondary average, is the stolen base. And when you also incorporate a player's ability to steal bags, I mean, what are you doing when you hit a single and you steal second and third? You're essentially hitting a triple. So I do prefer secondary average over ISO for measuring a player's ability to get extra bases. But then, of course, you also should, in my opinion at the least, incorporate their base running ability when it comes to making out. Because I think there's a term that goes around on Twitter called Tootland, thrown out on the bases like a nincompoop, I believe is what it is.
Yes, you're right.
And I think oftentimes that maybe it's overused because sometimes you just have an outfielder who is a cannon, right? But I do think we do also, when using these stats to evaluate a player's ability to get extra bases, also evaluate his base running ability. And I think there's also a lot of base runners who maybe aren't the fastest in the world. Goldschmidt comes to mind. I think of Scott Rowland from my childhood, who aren't the quickest, but they're brilliant base runners and really good at spiking the bag.
And how would that be useful? Because one thing, too, it's where even you said to Paul that, you know, we're learning and not speaking at you, but teaching you. This teaches me as well because, you know, I'm a guy who's played, but obviously don't know all the ins and outs that these stats can really help you with on all of them. And so.
Well, sorry, JP.
No, answer.
Yeah, no. So I think really what you're getting at is, I don't want to throw any players under the bus, but I think back to some Phillies back in the day who would hit for like 300 batting average, and you would look at their slugging percentage, and it would be maybe the weakest 300 you'd ever seen. And I think what stats like ISO and also secondary average, what they try to do is see what is behind that batting average. How can you actually dig into what a 300 player is doing in terms of his ability to get bases? What is a 250 player doing in terms of his ability to get bases? And then both of these stats, though, are ignoring somebody's ability to take walks, and then it could potentially inflate somebody's secondary average.
Well, Williams Astudillo with the base hit and then the stolen base moves into scoring position here with one out in the top of the fifth inning. Another stat and another metric that we see an awful lot, and maybe we see it more just because we live and breathe baseball and don't have real jobs, if you will, is xwOBA, right? That's another one. I see a lot of networks talking about that and articles talking about xwOBA as this one's grounded back to the mound and off of Davidson. So Cooper will reach, and Astudillo moves up to third. Marlins have him on the corners here with two outs in the fifth inning. Give me the a practical definition, if you will, of xwOBA and how we can maybe understand this a little bit better.
So before I even get into that, one thing I want to address when it comes to any stat that is an X stat, these are things that are looking at what's happening going forward. It's not a stat to look at going backwards, right? You're not going to say somebody belongs in the Hall of Fame because they had a career xwOBA of this. I don't think that it can be used that way, but it can be used as a predictive tool, which is really valuable in baseball today, even more so than ever because of the evolution of sports gambling. But expected weighted on-base average is essentially just a formula that uses exit velocity, launch angle, and the type of batted balls. Do you hit it to the left field, right field, and then combines that with sprint speed to determine a value of what somebody should be doing on the field. Now, again, it's not what they've done on the field, but it's what you expect in the future, and it's a good tool for expected future value.
And I think another thing that we should probably point out too is also not just knowing what the number does, whether it predicts or gives the results of something in a different way, but also the context of it, right? So for ex-Woba, the top 75 in baseball is at or above about 360. So just so you know, and you're looking at a number, we look at a 300 batting average, right? We're all cognizant of what batting average is. We figure, okay, 300, that's a good number. ERA, 3.5, that's a good number. So to know where that scale is, 360 is the top 75 hitters in baseball.
Well, I mean, again, at what point are we going to be looking at all these numbers and nobody's going to know what average is, batting average is, and they're going to know what the ex-Woba is, and the barrel percentage and the hard hit rate and all that thing. So it's migrating, and it helps some guys, and like Ryan said, it actually can hurt some guys because you can be hitting 300, but possibly not be the sexiest 300, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, and in this day and age, Ryan, you know this. The 300 average, it might as well be like 750 these days, with like the league average batting average being in the 240 range right now.
Well, one thing I think where we fail as baseball fans and people who analyze the game, and even broadcasters, no offense, I think oftentimes we apply some of these new statistics to players of the past, but this was not their standard, right? If we look at, I think Lou Brock is oftentimes called one of the worst Hall of Famers.
Right, hang on once. Hold that thought. We're going to bring you right back, but the inning is over. We're going to step aside. We got to pay some bills, and then we'll talk more with Ryan Spader in just a bit. All right, welcome back. Bottom of the fifth inning here at Truist Park. The Marlins have a 1-0 lead. Back here inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino, JP Arancibia, and Ryan Spader, who I rudely had to interrupt so that we could all afford things at home when we get there. We had to pay some bills. But all right, so you were talking about Lou Brock. You mentioned Lou Brock, some new school stats, and trying to maybe not so much compare a different generation to this.
Yeah, I really think it's unfair to guys like Lou Brock, who are now dubbed one of the quote-unquote worst Hall of Famers of all time, because when you're taking these new statistics and applying them to players of yesterday, specifically in Lou Brock's case, what were leadoff hitters expected to do during Lou Brock's career? They were supposed to hit for a high average and steal bases, and he did that with the best of them. I'm sure if Lou Brock played with the rules of today, where a leadoff guy is supposed to just get on base by any means necessary, walk, whatever, I'm sure his game would have adjusted. And I really think it's unfair to some of our all-time greats when we try to apply statistics that didn't exist during their day to their careers. But I do understand the need to attempt to measure across generations as well.
Makes sense. 3 balls and 2 strikes here on Matt Olson, leading off the bottom of the fifth inning. Sandy deals, and at 100 miles an hour gets the strikeout of Matt Olson.
Yeah, just a cool 100 mile an hour. Or that's not that big of a deal, so we'll just watch this and enjoy this fastball, just the bayou right there, four seam. That was sick. And Ryan Spader, listen, analytics and all the fun stuff that we get to learn. 100 miles an hour fastball is 100 mile an hour fastball. But I want to get into extra innings because me and you had a conversation. And I think that it's something to really get into because there's always, you know, what a home team should do, what a visiting team should do. What do you think is the best way to go about the extra innings, and what analytically have you seen?
JP, to be honest with you, I think the home team is facing an impossible situation right now. Because if I would have told you, I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, before we ever came up with this rule, that the away team could have a leadoff double and potentially score that run, but then the home team is going to have a leadoff double as well to potentially score a tying run, I really think that the home team is at a disadvantage. And that's what the numbers say so far. In all games with the, I don't know what you guys are calling it, the extra runner, the ghost runner,
We go placed runner. We go placed runner. That's what we have. But anyway,
okay,
go ahead.
So in all games with the placed runner, the home team is 176 and 180. That is a win-loss percentage of 494. Now, from 2000 to 2019, home team had a 524 winning percentage in extra innings. So we're seeing a drop-off there. A lot of people might say that is a small sample size. I personally don't think it is in terms of number of games, especially when you look at the home team's overall record with a 539 winning percentage from 2000 to 2019 versus what it has been at 540 since the inception of the placed runner, excuse me. I really think there is some, we have to do some digging into this because I don't think that this is sustainable. I don't think that the away team should have a quote-unquote home field advantage when it comes to playing games in extra innings simply because they have the opportunity to score first. And this is where we talk about some of these numbers. Maybe what you can't evaluate is the human factor here. JP will tell you, and I'll tell you because I was a ball player, I just happened to think at it, so I had to do it by the numbers. It's a difficult game to play from behind, and more often than not, the home team is playing from behind. And then one other number that we had discussed off air is the Pythagorean win percentage, and that's something that doesn't consider the fact that in extra innings, the home team is only allotted to score as many runs that allows them to win the game. Whereas the away team can score 5, 6, 7, 8 runs, and then the home team will have a chance, and maybe they get blanked. So I think that that's something else that has to be considered when calculating that Pythagorean win percentage.
All right, well, we talked about that a little bit earlier, and it's been great talking to you throughout the afternoon here today. Ryan, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon, all right?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. This was a blast. Thanks, guys.
All right, excellent. Advanced Saturday rolls on, and so does Sandy. 1-0. Thank you to Ryan Spader, who was terrific. Sandy Alcantara has been fantastic as well, but the Marlins have a slim 1-0 lead as we are through 5 innings. So Sandy really picking up right where he left off after his last outing against these very same Braves. 9 strikeouts today. Wow.
And I'll tell you what, listen, I know it's Saturday, but we don't have to see stats. We don't have to do anything, but I can guarantee you that this is filthy. That is 100-mile-an-hour fastball right by you. Well, let's do that again. That's 100 by Ozzie Albies. And then, how about this? That's a slider at 91. So, not a lot of stats need to tell you that's dirty.
And we call that the old eye test. That'll pass the eye test. Darren O'Day is on the pitch here for the Atlanta Braves. So the day done for Tucker Davidson. Jesus Aguilar to lead things off. Aguilar, Rojas, and Wendell. Aguilar so far today, 2 walks. Swing and a miss. That's 85 miles an hour, top of the strike zone. Three on the left side of the infield against O'Day. That sidearm or submarine type delivery fouled straight back.
Yeah, he's pretty tough, especially on righties. Paul, he's got a fastball. It's in the mid-80s, but it's got a little rise to it. He can sink it, and it's awkward because it comes from behind you as a right-handed hitter. He also throws a very, very slow little slurve, but it's got a lot of sweeping action. So you swing at it, and then all of a sudden it's way further away from you, like that pitch right there. I've faced Darren O'Day quite a bit in my career when he was with the Baltimore Orioles, and I'm still a little nervous sitting up here.
Did it ever get easier to face him? I think I know the answer to that.
Well, it did when I started getting all over the plate and hoping that he would hit me with a pitch so that I can actually see what it's like to get on base.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice, real fun. Fun game, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's easier from up here, isn't it?
Oh, it's all the time. I talk to the guys on the field all the time, and they're like, hey, you enjoying it? I was like, well, I don't have to go home and worry about why I struck out 3 times, so that's pretty fun. And I don't have to think about what's going to happen the next day. So, yeah, I don't swing and miss at sliders up here. Don't get hit with foul balls. I have to deal with you, but it's that's manageable.
There is no perfect job, pal. Sorry about it. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up. O'Day deals, and Aguilar continues to fight pitches off. He's seen a bunch of pitches today. The 2 walks. This is going to be the 9th at-bat here. Valley Sports Florida is your home for the Marlins. Sunday afternoon, tune in at 12:30 for a special premiere of Marlins Clubhouse. Join host Kelly Sacco and Marlins pitchers Trevor Rogers and Pablo Lopez as they tour San Diego Studio, the video game developer for MLB The Show. It's the premiere of Marlins Clubhouse tomorrow, 12:30, right before the Marlins Live pregame show. Fly ball out to center field, and Harris puts it away. Aguilar retired, and that's the first out here in the 6th. Final line on Davidson, by the way, 5 innings, 2 hits, a run, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts. And for a guy, I know we're at 30,000 feet here, just kind of dropping in on the Braves, but for a guy who might be getting a look at a spot in the rotation, what'd you make of him today?
Well, look at the scoreboard. It's 1-0. So I don't care about the walks. I don't care about any of this stuff. If you can get out of it, then you're doing okay. And what your job is to get as deep as you can and also giving the team an opportunity to win. And right now he's done his job, or not even, I mean, he did his job.
Nothing in 1 here on Miguel Rojas. We were waiting on the scoring for Miggy's ground ball to the left side back in the 4th inning. The ball that, if you recall, Swanson made the play on, but then the ball kind of stuck in his hand a little bit. It went down as a fielder's choice and an E6. That's how that was scored. Miggy out toward left field, sends Ozuna back near the wall, and it carries out for a solo home run. Clears the left field wall and gives the Marlins a 2-0 lead.
That sure is nice to see right there for Miggy Rowe. He was getting it going, and then that calf got him a little bit, had to sit out some games, but Miggy Rowe is far away from what he's been doing offensively the last few years, and you know that that's not going to last long. And a beautiful thing to see, and more than anything, Paul, you give Sandy Alcantara a little bit of breathing room right there with 2-run lead.
Now Joey Wendell takes a strike at the top of the zone. Another look at the home run.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you try to throw a breaking ball. It spins in the middle of the plate, and Miggy Rowe leaves the yard. First row, second row, doesn't matter. It's all counts the same.
You know, we talked about it yesterday. We'll talk about it a little bit now. But certainly a special moment there for Miguel Rojas with the home run. Just how frustrating it's been here for the Marlins this month. This one lined out to left field. Ozuna makes the play, and that's the 2nd out. But again, Rojas has been around here for a long time. High expectations for this club here in 2022. There's a lot of baseball left. And he comes up with a big hit here to give the Marlins a 2-run lead in the 6th.
Like you said, Mickey Rowe has continued to improve offensively every year. Every time he's got an opportunity to play every day, he really has bounced back and had a better year after a better year. And you know, this season has started off to a slow start, but you know he's going to get going, and he's already starting to get going. And now get a little power show from Mickey Rowe.
Two 1 to Stallings, a swing and a miss. Back to the home run for Miggy Rowe.
Little toe tap, stiff front side, and he knew right away. And
Pablo giving him a hug, and
the boys giving him a hug, and
it looks like Miggy's a little emotional today.
Yeah, and I think it might, you know, what you're showing me, it might be his late mother's birthday.
That's what we're trying to. I apologize. I'm looking at his Instagram right now. He posted about his mom who passed away in January. And I'm asking JP here to be the kind friend to translate as he posted about her in Spanish. But we'll look into that. It might be his late mom's birthday. And if that is the case, Mom is always with Miggy on an emotional day. He homers and gives the Marlins a 2-0 lead. Third on the season gives the Marlins a 2-0 lead here as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. So a little bit more offense behind Sandy Alcantara, who has 9 strikeouts, including the last 4 in a row. Last 4 Atlanta Braves. Riley to end the 4th, and then Olson, Albies, and Contreras. 5 innings, 2 hits, no walks, and 9 strikeouts, and this on the heels of a complete game last week against the Braves. So all told, 16 strikeouts, 2 walks in 14 innings, and no earned runs. That's a good couple of days for Alcantara, but certainly not done yet. Still goes to work here in the 6th inning. He'll face Duvall, Harris, and Acuna Jr. And we just got confirmation that it was, in fact, would have been Miggy's mom's birthday today. So a special moment for Miguel Rojas, hitting a home run for his late mother, and an emotional moment for him. Pablo giving him some love and some hugs and some comfort in the dugout as well. Those of us that have lost parents certainly know that they are with us always. And Miggy feeling that right now. Good for him. He's always been kind and gracious with his time, and certainly an easy guy to root for. Very happy to see that he is sporting that Marlins uniform, a guy that represents the organization very, very well.
Yeah, that gives me chills, actually. So, you know how tough that is. And then he hits a home run. It's you know, a lot of times it's crazy how this game will do a lot of things like that. I remember John McDonald when his father passed away, and he hit a home run on Father's Day. And
strikeout of Duvall for the first out. That's 5 Ks in a row for Alcantara. Yeah, on Father's Day, John McDonald.
Yeah, he hit a home run, and you know, that was right after he had lost his father. And so it's just there's a lot of stories like that. And it's good for Miggy Rowe, because I bet you that lifts his spirits a little bit more.
And for Sandy, falls behind Michael Harris the second, the ball to no strikes, but 5 consecutive strikeouts for Alcantara. Misses outside 2-0. So this season against the Braves, 14 1/3, 17 strikeouts for Sandy as Harris lines that one foul. And listen, I know he's been great against the Braves, but when Sandy gets into these modes, it could be the Braves, it could be the Phillies, it could be the 1927 Yankees, and it wouldn't really matter. But that's the first base hit in the career of Michael Harris II. He gets one off a brand name in Sandy Alcantara, who actually congratulates him on the base hit.
Yeah, that's pretty special right there. They'll throw that ball in, and congratulations. The hometown boy. Can you imagine growing up watching the Braves, being a fan of the Braves, and then making your major league debut in Atlanta with the Braves? I mean, that's got to be some special feeling right there, and I bet you there's a lot of tears coming out of the eyes of the family members here at the game or wherever they're at.
That one went off of Sandy, redirects into center field, and Birdie gets to it. Harris goes to third, and a base hit for Ronald Acuna Jr. It's first and third with one out. I think it was the glove. I think Sandy got a glove on it, but redirected it now in between the middle infielders.
Yeah, this is one that you'd like to have back right here, just because he's reacting to this baseball, but Paul, they're right in the shift. So if he doesn't hit this ball, you have Williams Astudillo, who would have been right in position to grab that baseball and step on the bag. You see, he has to go back, and Michael Harris II, who can absolutely fly, he makes it to third base easy, and you would imagine that Acuna right here try to steal a bag, especially to try to stay out of the double play to end the inning.
Now Swanson, a swing and a miss. And really the most traffic and trouble that Sandy's been in all day. A one-out single in the first inning by Swanson, but he was erased on an inning-ending double play. Worked around a base hit to lead things off in the second. It was a hit by pitch, but then a pickoff, so phase 3 in the third, in the fourth, in the fifth, and now the runner goes to second.
Yeah, not even a throw, because it was such a good jump. It's not even worth the while to even throw down there. And like I said, you knew that Acuna was probably going to steal the base right there just to try to stay out of the double play. And also, Sandy Alcantara has a longer delivery to the plate. But 0-2 right here, this is where you got to get nasty and go for the strikeout. Infield's back, they're giving the run.
0-2 to Swanson. Ground ball toward Wendell. Run comes in to score, and now the throw goes to third. Safe. Miggy's asking for a replay. And at the moment, Acuna Jr. is safe at third base, and a run is in on the ground out. It's 2-1.
Well, how big is that stolen base to pitch before? Because if that stolen base doesn't happen, that's a ground ball, double play, and you're out of the inning. That's why speed is so important and is so valuable.
Well, the Marlins are going to challenge it looks like. And a couple of things at play here. Well, the run's going to score no matter what the call is. That would have been the other thing to keep an eye on. If that's
Miami is challenging the safe call at third base.
Yeah, if they were to overturn the call at third and that becomes the third out, then you'd have to see if the run crossed. But that, as we saw in that first angle of the replay, not going to be an issue at all. So that run is going to score no matter what. But the question is Acuna Jr. at third with 2 outs, or is he out and the inning is over?
I think that he is out right there.
And what the Marlins will need here is evidence to overturn the call, because the call on the field was that Acuna Jr. was safe.
Well, I think that Acuna Jr., yeah, this one won't definitely give you the decision-making view, but I always go off of the reactions, Paul. I always look at the guys and see how they're reacting to it.
After review, the call on the field is overturned. The runner is out.
All right, so there you have it. He's out. And a run comes in to score, but Acuna Jr. trying to get an extra 90 feet. A good throw from Cooper and a good tag from Miggy get the Marlins out of the inning. This might be the conclusive view right there, and without a doubt, he got the lower back or the wallet of Acuna Jr. before he got the left hand in.
Well, you always love that tag on the wallet, like you said, not at the base, and love the replay right there.
2-1 though after 6. 7th inning, Paul Severino, JP Aronzibia, Kelly Sacco, the rest of our Bally Sports crew join the Miami Marlins to celebrate the end of the school year on Wednesday, June 8th and Thursday, June 9th, as the Marlins take on the Nationals at 6:40. Enjoy a special ticket rate for your school district. Plus, we'll have pregame activities on the West Plaza and special offers exclusive to Club 305 members. Students are encouraged to wear their school colors as we kick off the start to summer. Visit marlins.com/school year party. The Braves go back to the bullpen. Their third pitcher tonight is Colin McHugh. And he'll face Brian De La Cruz. 5 innings of work from Tucker Davidson. O'Day gave up the home run to Miggy. And now McHugh enters his 17th game this year.
Well, you like breaking balls because McHugh does not throw a fastball. He throws a cutter and a slider. Pretty much it. We'll mix in a four-seamer maybe 1% of the time, but other than that, it is cutter, slider for McHugh. And he is a analytic baby in the sense of he used to be a starter, used to throw a fastball when he was with the Astros, but they said, hey, your cutter is good and your slider is really good. Your other stuff, maybe not as much, so let's just throw those 2 pitches and we'll make you a bullpen pitcher. What do you think?
Focus on the good stuff. Well, back to a 1-run game. Marlins have played a bunch of those this year. Fortunately, they've come up short on some of these. Most of them, in fact. This is a bouncer towards Swanson at short. Shift on, but would have been right at him anyway. So that's the first out of the inning. So we talked earlier, and we've talked throughout the week really, about the Pythagorean win-loss and the definition of it. Now, if we just looked at that, and trust us, we know it's about the actual wins and losses, but if you just looked at that, the Marlins would not only be 3 games over 500, but they would be 2 back in the loss column of the New York Mets. And that is certainly different than what things actually are. And at the end of the day, we all understand that what things actually are what matters. But it was developed by the legendary Bill James. So have you overachieved? Have you underachieved? Lucky, unlucky, based on how many runs you score. And for the Marlins, it's more been about the run distribution than anything else. Astudillo swings and misses 0-2.
Yeah, you know, this might be a crazy question, Paul, and I'm sure Nelly's going to have something to tell me about it, but who's Bill James?
Who's Bill James?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think he is still in the Boston Red Sox front office, or was for a while. That is a base hit for Willians Astudillo. So he's got 2 hits today in a spot start after Brian Anderson was scratched with lower back spasms, and the Marlins had to shake things up a bit. So not a bad afternoon for Astudillo. But Bill James was kind of at the forefront of the whole sabermetric movement. So he's invented some certain numbers. Yeah, kind of the godfather of sabermetrics in a way.
Well, I'm glad that you explained that to me, because you know, I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there, I would imagine, that maybe thought the same thing.
Right, maybe. Might be right.
Or maybe it's just me.
Could be, too. I don't know. But no, it's fine. We're offering all these definitions of things that people know. Might as well give you a little background on Bill James. But I do believe that Bill James was either involved with or invented WAR, wins above replacement, and has since kind of backed off of that being a be-all, end-all kind of number. Just because times have changed, we've gotten different metrics to look at and things like that. So even the progressive thinkers in the world of analytics and sabermetrics, even they are open to new thoughts and adjusting what we thought was set in stone.
Yeah, one of the more, set in stone, I guess algorithms would be the proper terminology.
Yeah, worked for the Red Sox for 17 years.
Well, now I know who Bill James is.
Yeah. He's got a chapter in Moneyball.
Okay.
The book, not the movie.
Yep, haven't read it.
Right. He's got his own handbook. I know that too.
Yep, haven't read that either.
All right. There's a profile in 60 Minutes.
Yep, haven't seen that.
How about this one? He was on The Simpsons once.
Oh, I've watched The Simpsons.
Okay, good. All right, Cowabunga.
Oh, we made it.
Now we're good.
All right.
All right, so a one-run game here in the 7th inning. Birdie works the walk. Second time he has been on base via the walk. 2 walks, 2 strikeouts for Birdie today. And now, once again, the Marlins have a little something cooking here in the 7th inning. There's a strike to Garrett Cooper, who's 1 for 3.
Put that in the back of your mind right there. You just threw him a first pitch slider that Cooper kind of buckled on. And if, I know Coop, he'll sit on that slider and make him pay if he throws it again.
Quickly ahead, 0-2 is McHugh.
It's funny, we watch enough games, Paul, that you start to see guys' tendencies and what they do and how they approach certain things. And yesterday it was, as soon as we got into the bus after the game ended, my first question, were you sitting on that changeup? Yes. I said, I knew it, because you just watch these guys enough and you start to see, Cooper likes to sit on a certain pitch, and, Aggie will take a first pitch almost 80% of the time, and you just see guys set up the pitchers, and so you knew that's what he did last night. And you would imagine that if they throw him another slider right here, he would be all over it.
He checked his swing, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, we said it around this time last night. Marlins had a 1-run lead kind of late in the ball game. It may not end 4-3. This one, JP, may not end 2-1. So you'd like to see the Marlins at this spot in the order do something. Here's a 2-2 pitch. It's taken upstairs, and from 0-2 now to 3-2.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see them do something, and not only do something, give Sandy a little bit more breathing room. It feels like every single time he pitches, Paul, it's a 1-run game. It's a tie game. He's pitching from behind 1-0. You'd like to give your ace maybe just a little bit of time to go out there and enjoy his wins.
Cooper out toward left center field. Long run for Harris. Not going to get there. It hits off the base of the wall. Astudillo's going to score. Here comes John Birdie. There will be no throw, and Cooper comes through with a 2 RBI double. What an at-bat. 4-1 Marlins.
Paul, I told you on the first pitch to put that slider on the back of your mind right there. What did he get 3-2? That slider, look at it, right over the middle of the plate, and does not miss it, crushes it, gets his foot down, stays through it. That's what Cooper does. He is a very, very smart hitter. He sets guys up, and from the beginning, he knew after that first pitch he was going to get another slider, and he makes him pay, short hops the wall, and a great read by John Birdie, and a 2-run double. That was perfect right there.
Another 2-base hit for Garrett Cooper. He's been piling those up lately. Last 7 games, he's got 3 of them to go along with a home run in that stretch, and he continues his dominance over the Braves this year. 2 more hits today. So 12 for 23 against Atlanta this year.
It's just so crazy how he really does set up guys, and he has such a smart plan at the plate, Paul. You know that he threw a first pitch slider, he buckled him, and he threw a first strike. 3-2, he knew that he was going to go right back to that slider again at some point. He did, and he just doesn't miss it. That's the other part, is you can have the plan, but to execute your plan at this level is not easy. He did it last night, and he did it again today, and that's why Coop, it's nice to see Coop in there every day. And the DH first base is going to allow him to play the entire season, I truly believe, healthy.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Soler down the right field line, and twists foul. And now Cooper, by the way, 2 for 2 with 2 doubles against McHugh. This one drives in a pair. It stretches the Marlins lead to 3. Bouncer toward third. Riley's got it. Off balance throw to Olsen. And that's the second out in the inning. Cooper has to stay put.
Well, let's take a look at this. Watch this first pitch. Watch Cooper kind of freeze a little bit. He kind of buckles. All right. Right away, he knows that the catcher just saw him react differently, so they're going to go back to it. Well, what do? When they need to throw a strike 3-2, they go right back to it. Garrett Cooper all over it and smashes that baseball, 1 hop off the wall, and that's called professional hitting right there. 101 by Garrett Cooper, and we just got a free lesson.
And now Aguilar in the air, right center field. It's going to be Duvall to make the catch. That's the kid's big league debut. Marlins get 2 more. Marlins baseball is brought to you by Leon. When it counts, count on Leon. Leon Medical Center's medical excellence. Marlins have a 4-1 lead as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Paul Severino, JP Arancibia, Kelly Sacco, and the rest of our Bally Sports crew. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. Once a month we do these advanced Saturday broadcasts, so a little bit more explanation as to some of the numbers that we're throwing around, and we keep talking about these metrics. This was a barrel, both in the new school and old school sense.
Well, I guess that it was a barrel. That was 105 off the bat right there. And we take a look, Paul, this is what barreling a baseball is considered.
Yeah, the baseline for exit velo is 98 miles an hour. The launch angle between 26 and 30. Again, it means essentially you don't want to pop it up at 105 miles an hour. You don't want to smash it into the ground at 112 miles an hour. So that's why the launch angle is important. And there you have it right there. So a negative launch angle, it's going to go straight into the ground. If it's too high, it's going to be a pop-up. So if you want to be in that barrel zone range, which will expand the harder you hit the baseball, and that was considered a barrel for Garrett Cooper.
So what you're saying is your barrel rate would be at 60. It would be right around here for Soler. He's got the whole shebang because he hits the ball so hard. Yeah. And this one was right after about 105 miles an hour, so he's almost at the top exit velocity for barrels. And
Right, and then you've got your barrel rate leaders here. Aaron Judge, of course. You'll see a lot of carryover, right, between barrel rate and home run leaders. I mean, again, it kind of goes without saying in that sense. But part of the mixture of exit velocity and launch angle is really because those comparable hit types will get you a minimum batting average of 500 and a minimum slugging percentage of 1,500. So that's why he barreled it up, means hard hit line drive.
Listen,
for the most part.
The wisdom that's happening today is top notch.
That's what we're here for. Hopefully just to
not Patrick was
good one.
You see.
That's right.
Getting it going, Paul.
Well, that's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Do you know the difference between knowledge and wisdom? I'll explain it to you in just a second. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting a tomato in a fruit salad. That's a true story.
Gosh. God.
Just telling you.
He'll be here all week, folks.
No, just till tomorrow. Then it's off to Denver for a 3-game set against the Rockies. But back to Sandy. Pitch count, good spot, 83 right now, in spite of the fact that he's got 10 strikeouts. Another double-digit strikeout performance for Sandy Alcantara. Ozuna went around, and it's 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes to Ozuna. Lines it back and foul. Still 2-2. Dylan Lee throwing in the Braves bullpen. Getting ready for the top of the 8th inning. One might imagine. There's a chase. And Ozuna gives himself up. He's out. So another strikeout for Sandy. Let's send it down to Kelly Sacco.
Hey guys, well, if you want to find a way to make a good impression with your first team, this is a good way to do it. That is Luke Williams. His first game with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp goes yard. That's his first home run of the season, right into the opposing team's bullpen. He helped propel the Jumbo Shrimps to a 7-3 victory in last night's game. Of course, if you missed it, the Marlins acquired Williams in a trade with the Giants on Wednesday. Finishes that game 1-2, the home run, a couple walks, 2 runs scored. So again, that was one of the many moves the Marlins made over the last 48 hours. Not a bad way to make a good impression on your new team.
No,
I'd say.
No, not at all. Not at all. Luke Williams has spent a little time with the Phillies and then with the Giants and now here with the Marlins organization. Grounded foul outside of third off of Riley's bat. Sandy with 11 strikeouts. He's had as many as 14 in a game. Did that last September. But a new season high for Alcantara. First double-digit strikeout performance of 2022. And even on a rather toasty day here in Atlanta with the sun shining on the field for a good portion of the afternoon, typical Sandy doesn't look like he's broken his sweat, but that's a dozen strikeouts for Alcantara and 2 away here in the 7th.
Pardon my laughing, and I'm going to explain this is why. That was a changeup, ladies and gentlemen, and that changeup was at 94 miles an hour, and that's backed up after a fastball that he fouled off at 100 the pitch before. So just another cool 100-mile-an-hour fastball in the 7th inning. And I guarantee you everybody in that dugout's looking up at his pitch count saying, okay, at what point do we not have to see this guy anymore?
That's at 100 miles an hour. You know what this reminds me of as I look here at his career bests in strikeouts? There was a back-to-back outing stretch last year against the Reds where he went 11 and 12, set and then reset his career high. And I know he hasn't quite gotten to that career high tonight, but it feels like that same sort of dominant Sandy, that even that second time around, the offense doesn't have a prayer. He has been good today. 1 run over 7 innings and 12 strikeouts for Sandy. He is good. We're headed to the 8th.
Well, that's very kind of you, beefsteak gentleman. Wow, okay. Nelly, have you seen, obviously you've been around baseball for a long time. You've played in the big leagues for many years and seen a lot of good pitchers. When you watch a guy like this today who is throwing 100 and backing it up with 94-mile-an-hour changeups, I mean, is there anything that you can remember that's this special?
You know who else, Nelly, is a good right-hander and has been for a long time, who feels a little bit like Sandy in this sense to me? I wonder if you agree. Justin Verlander, from the perspective of he goes out there first couple innings, 94, 95, 96, and then by that 6th inning, 7th inning, if he's around for the 8th inning, it's 98, 99, 100, and it just looked like he'd been warming up the whole day. Am I onto something there? Fly ball out to left field. Craig, you're absolutely right. Ozuna makes the play. This is just the 7th double-digit strikeout game of his career. So it's a terrific point. He's dominant in a different way than you brought up Pedro and Roger Clemens. Those guys, you know, thousands and thousands of strikeouts, but he's a different guy. So we'll hear much more from Craig and Nelly when this one goes final. We'll hear from Donnie post-game on a Saturday, our Marlins Live post-game show.
Well, and it'll be good to hear the post-game show from the marshmallow himself, Craig Minervini.
Why is he the marshmallow?
Well, because he's a little soft, you know. He's a little puffy.
Because we were talking about tomatoes.
I know. I'm just coming after him.
Goodness gracious. Craig, he does not speak for all of us. Craig's gone. Craig's done listening to you.
He can't fire back. That's why.
It's fine.
Yeah.
By the way, Miguel Rojas, we told you earlier on that play to short way back in the 4th inning that was initially ruled a fielder's choice. Now that's a base hit. So between that being a hit, his home run, and that's another 3-hit day for Miguel Rojas. So again, an emotional day for Miggy on his late mother's birthday. A 3-hit day. That's really, really good stuff.
Well, we talked about it too on that home run, Paul. He was getting going, and then that calf kind of got him, and he's right back where he left off. And if I'm a betting man, you start to see his numbers creep up. Right now he's hitting 220. I imagine soon he'll be over 250 and back to where he usually is, because once he gets going, those hits come in bunches.
Ball and 2 strikes here on Stallings. 0 for 3 this afternoon. And takes called strike 3. So 2 away in the 8th inning, and time now for our Miller Lite moment. And it comes from Miguel Rojas. This the home run off of Darren O'Day back in the 6th inning. Once he cleared the bases, the emotions poured out of him as he celebrates his late mother's birthday. Did that one for Mom. Brian De La Cruz a swing and a miss, and a 3-hit day for Miguel Rojas. His second 3-hit game of the year. He's had 6 multi-hit games.
It's nice to see, because you can get a little bit more length too. You know, he got moved up to the 5th spot today, but when you have a lineup where you can have that offense down at the bottom where Miguel Rojas has been, it really creates, and that's what I think Donnie was talking about too, of the lineup that they were expecting, or they had created with Birdie and Jazz and all these guys that they've been missing. Wendell, they have been missing that length.
Runner went, but fouled away, so Rojas has to retreat to first base.
And even as much as the speed, because when Coop hit that double, Birdie's on first base. You know, those are the little things that they've missed as well, is the speed on the bases that Birdie brings to the table. I mean, even Joey Wendell as well.
A swing and a tip into the glove. De La Cruz is out. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Dylan Lee. 3 hits today for Miggy. Highlights, live pitch-by-pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and more for your Miami Marlins. A swinging strike on a fastball from Sandy to Ozzie Albies, leading things off. William Contreras and Adam Duvall do up here in the 8th inning. Marlins a 3-1 lead, trying to even up this 3-game weekend set against Atlanta. Bouncer outside of first, foul, and it's 0-2. Albies has struck out twice today. 17% of the time this year. Sandy with the 3rd double-digit strikeout performance by a Marlins starter this year. And he adds another. That's 13 and 1 shy of a career high tying.
I mean, it continues to just amaze me how special of an arm he is, Paul, because you're right about the Verlander comp. He keeps on getting nastier. That is a 94-mile-an-hour changeup after another 99-mile-an-hour fastball. And he just gets stronger as the game gets going. You know, we faced Justin Verlander when he threw a no-hitter against us in Toronto, and after the 6th inning, it was like 100 miles an hour pretty much the rest of the game on that fastball.
Bouncer to first, but foul.
Some guys just know how to pitch and then really step on the gas, like Nelly was saying. They go to a different level, and the efficiency of this pitcher today, I mean, everything is right over 10 pitches.
1-1 to Contreras, taken low. So he's got 13 strikeouts. His career mark is 14 Ks. The Marlins single game record for strikeouts is 16. Ricky Nolasco against the Braves in September of 2009. Now Sandy, his last time out was 115 pitches on Sunday, and that was a career high. He's at 102 right now. Again, I know they employ Donnie to manage the club, but I would think that this 8th inning might be it for him, unless he gets the job done within the next few pitches, but even then, listen, I've been wrong before, but I would think that maybe they don't go like 115, 120 in back-to-back outings. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't. I agree with you, and I think everybody kind of feels the same way, even anybody watching this game.
Ground ball to Rojas from the outfield grass, fires to first, and Contreras is out, 2 away.
That right after he gets done with this inning, that will be it for him, and you hope that he's able to finish this 8th inning off, because Cole Sulser's getting ready in the bullpen. He just got up, and again, hopefully you don't have to use anybody until you get to the 9th, and I would love to see a little 14th strikeout on a slide ball right here during this at bat.
Facing Adam Duvall, he's retired on strikes twice. That one 99 up and in. Strikeout percentage 32% for Adam Duvall, one of 3 Braves actually inside the top 10 of most strikeouts in the National League. Tipped, caught by Stallings, a ball and a strike.
And when you look at mechanics and just like easy, fluid, what you want an arm action to look like.
It's down the left field line, but it will sneak into the seats.
I think Sandy is kind of the poster child. He's big, strong, and it's effortless, Paul. It doesn't even look like he is trying hard. His arm works well. Just really good mechanics. And we got a 1-2 count right here, and I requested it earlier. I'd like to see a slide ball to put him away. Oh no, he's going with the hard stuff.
And it works at 100 miles an hour. Sandy ties a career high 14 strikeouts. Wow, Sandy locked in today. Talking with Donnie, and there's the handshake, and that might have just put an end to his day. But what another brilliant performance for Sandy Alcantara. 108 pitches, and this on the tail end of his last outing, which was against these very same Braves last Sunday afternoon, where he went the distance. He, and I say this tongue-in-cheek, only goes 8 innings today, but 14 strikeouts and no walks.
I mean, that's the impressive part there, Paul. Yeah. Is you see zero walks. So he was not only extremely nasty, he was swing and miss stuff in the zone because he was coming after guys from the first pitch. Really, if you think about it and you break it down, that one run, it was almost a lucky run because it hit off of his glove. It would have been a double play to end the inning, and it got through it for a base hit.
Astudillo, the fly ball out toward left field, and Ozuna puts it away for the first out.
But how about them apples? He punched out 14, and his at bat versus Riley, he punched him out on a changeup 94 after a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. His at bat versus Albies in the 8th, that was the 7th. In the 8th, he punched out Ozzy Albies on a 93-mile-an-hour changeup after a 99-mile-an-hour heater, and then he puts away Adam Duvall with his last pitch of the game at 100. Is that good?
I would say that that's pretty good. And this is, trust me, not to take anything away from Sandy, but you could have looked at some of the numbers and thought, well, Sandy's really good, and he's really good right now, and this Braves team strikes out a ton. You might see some strikeouts today. That's the 23rd time this year that the Atlanta Braves have struck out at least 10 times in a game. That's the most in baseball this year by a couple. The Angels, Cubs, and Diamondbacks have struck out 10 times or more 21 times, but 23 times this year the Braves have struck out at least 10 times. And he has owned them in back-to-back outings.
They might have a standing ovation in the dugout when Cole Sulser comes in, or whoever it may be comes in out of that bullpen. not taking anything away. There he is, Cole Sulser. Not any disrespect to Cole Sulser. I just think that they're like, thank you, goodness, and we don't have to see him on the mound anymore.
Yeah, you could have Nolan Ryan coming out of that bullpen right now, and the Braves would be licking their chops to get in the box. Here's a fly ball out towards center field. Harris moves over and makes the catch. Birdie is out. All right, for Sandy Alcantara, he kept it cool all day, but our All-State mayhem moment might have been the moment that he left the bullpen when he started his day, because he was locked in from the get-go.
Yeah, it was pretty special, Paul, and it was a mixture of all pitches, really. The changeup, the slider, the fastball. It wasn't just one pitch. There's the changeup at 93 miles an hour to Ozzie Albies. And, you know, I'll say it again, as I say it every single time he pitches. Sandy Alcantara is worth the price of the ticket himself. Just to be able to watch him every 5 days, you're watching really greatness on the mound.
Cooper takes a ball outside. Cooper had a big hit in this ball game too. I know Sandy is going to get all the headlines, and rightfully so. 14 strikeouts and no walks, but he's got a little extra breathing room thanks to Garrett Cooper, who in the 7th inning had a 2-run double. And when you think offensively, that's a big hit in the ball game.
Well, he had a huge hit yesterday, and he had a huge hit today. And I mean, I'm not going to say it's odd, but he's playing against the Braves, which we know that track record is pretty deep. Alex Anthopoulos may be eventually trying to track Cooper down one day, but listen, Coop is a great hitter, and if he has an opportunity to play every day, which he is now because of the DH, I think you're going to see a phenomenal year from Garrett Cooper. He's up to 277. He's got 11 doubles, 19 ribbies,
and 1 more walk. So he's been on base 3 times in this ball game.
Well, and that's the other thing as well, is he will get on base. He will take his walks. And a healthy Cooper for a full season is going to be fun to watch.
Well, for the best coverage in the game, we check out the T-Mobile coverage cam. Nice view from that front row there. Braves bat boy right behind home plate. The on deck circle there. Nothing in 1. Dylan Lee's 2nd inning of work for the Braves reliever. Ground ball. Swanson can't get to it. It's a base hit for Soler, and the Marlins have 2 on and 2 out.
Yeah, Dylan Lee, the former Miami Marlin farmhand. Look at Coach Stallings right there in the crowd. I just had a picture of the Stallings family. There he is, the old coach with the light blue hat. His wife.
With striped shirt there, lower right. There he is.
Great basketball coach for a long, long time.
Inside to Aguilar, a ball and no strikes.
I mean, he did it at the wrong school in the state of Tennessee, but you know, you can't have it all one way. A little biased, but.
Are you?
Yeah, just a tad.
Hadn't noticed.
Not a big anchor down guy, but
a little out in front.
This would be a nice, just, you know what, little icing on the cake right now, Paul. It'd be a beautiful thing if Jesus Aguilar decided to leave the yard. You know, home runs come in bunches. Make it a 7-1 lead. That'd be very appreciated, I think.
That was a good pass at that one, just missed it. Fouled it straight back, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. You had mentioned Dylan Lee, formerly a 10th round pick of the Marlins back in 2016 of Cal State Fresno. Released by the Marlins in late March last year, signed by the Braves in mid-April last year, misses upstairs.
I know this has nothing to do with Dylan Lee, but I was just thinking, if I was Michael Harris II, I'd tell everybody.
Pirouette by Albies. You'd tell everybody what, that we're back after this?
Well, no, that I got my first big league hit off of the best pitcher in baseball.
That'd play. Looks like Cole Sulser's coming in to try to finish this one out. Valley Sports is brought to you by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealers today. Toyota, let's go places. By Quicks, don't just fix it, Quicks it. And by Truist, when you start with care, you get a different kind of bank. Marlins have a 4-1 lead, 3 outs to go, as the Marlins fans in attendance wait and hope that the Marlins can finish this one out. Reveal a world of excitement with scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery. Play for instant top prizes from $500 to $25 million. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. A couple of changes here for the Marlins, as Cole Sulser is on to pitch. This will be his 19th game this season. It is a save situation. He's got 1 save this year in 2 tries, a 2.65 ERA. Michael Harris to lead things off at his first big league hit. And his first big league run scored his last time up. That was off of Sandy. Marlins make a couple of changes. Jesus Sanchez is into the ball game in center field. That was where John Birdie was. And now John Birdie takes over at second for Williams Astudillo.
There's that fastball right there that has that carry. You see 92 miles an hour on the fastball, but imagine it being a little bit more like 95, 96, because it's got that carry through the zone. And when you mix it in with a changeup split like Sulser has, then it almost kind of ticks up to 96, 97, because you have to respect that split change.
Backhanded by Rojas. Up, throws. Got him at first base. What a play. What a play and what a day for Miggy Rowe.
All that comes to my head is a little da-na-na, da-na-na. That is sexy right there to the backhand. You know this is going to be tough, but he's one of the best at popping up and getting rid of the ball. And right on the money. Gets to his backside, pops up, makes a strong throw right to Garrett Cooper. And that is how you make that play right there, ladies and gentlemen.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I've talked to a lot of former middle infielders, and many, if not all, will say you can always tell how good a shortstop is by how well he goes to his right and makes a play. And that is about as good as it gets for Miguel Rojas. In a vacuum, a great play, no question. If you look at the scoreboard, how important is it to keep the leadoff man off base with Acuna Jr. and the top of the order due up?
Well, absolutely, very important. You know, you always want to get that leadoff hitter, and especially with who you have right behind, and Acuna, and then Swanson, who's been swinging the bat well, and then after that, then you go into Murderer's Row, because Ozuna, Riley, and Olsen can leave the yard at any point.
1 ball, 1 strike. And he chased upstairs.
You know what he does well too, Paul? Not only does he go to his right well, but he pops up so quick. And that's not an easy thing to do. And he's talked about it before, that's something that's always been a strength of his, of being able to slide and then pop up and make a throw.
And let's add this too. Michael Harris II, does not carry a piano on his back down the first baseline. Okay. That young man can fly.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely flies. Piano takes me back to what they used to tell me as a kid, Paul. Hits me.
Sorry about that.
No, I was going to say it hits me right in the feels. They used to tell me to take the piano off when I was running.
Three balls and 2 strikes on Acuna Jr. A strikeout, a hit by pitch, and a single today. And a half swing there. He's down on strikes, 2 away.
That's what makes Cole Sulser tough, too. He won't give in. I mean, it's a 3-run game. You don't want to walk anybody. But Cole Sulser doesn't care. He's coming at you with his best stuff. That's a split change right there. Obviously, Acuna not expecting it. Him thinking, hey, 3-2 doesn't want to put me on. He's going to throw me a fastball. Nope. That's a punchy and a little slow stroll back to the dugout.
Now Dansby Swanson takes a strike. So that's 15 strikeouts today by Braves hitters. The 4th time this season that they have struck out at least 15 times in the game. Twice 16 times. They actually did that in back-to-back days. That's a rough couple of days. But they had a rough day today against Sandy Alcantara, who was on from the get-go. He struck out Acuna Jr. to start. Ended up with 14 strikeouts to match a career high. Didn't walk a soul. And now Swanson out toward left center field, carrying, and it hits the base of the wall. But as is usually the case, the Braves do not go quietly. A 2-out double, and Swanson keeps the game alive.
Well, we talk about Swanson coming in today, how he's been swinging the bat well. He gets a fastball up in the zone right here. Look at that choke up. Perfectly timed. Stays on top of that baseball. That top hand works strong through the zone. And this ball hits just off the bottom of the wall right there. And no harm, no foul. 2-out double, not going to hurt you. Want to make sure you take care of Marcell Ozuna, though, because you do not want the tying run to come to the plate.
Sulser against Ozuna, and that's taken low. Ozuna 0 for 3, a double play, a fly out, and a strikeout today. Here's a 1-0. It's taken outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Again, got to be careful with Ozuna. He can square it up with the best of them when he's on. And if there's such a thing as a hitter's count anymore, it is one here. 2-0. Riley's on deck. Swanson the runner at second base after the double. And in there for a strike.
Always feels like, for whatever reason, Paul, when we're at Truist Park, that the game is always in reach for the Braves. You just never have that feeling of comfortable 9th inning.
Only when it's over. 2-1. That's a strike away from being over. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sulser's got the sign. Here it comes. Bounces in and blocked by Stallings. So 3-2. Right now there's wiggle room with the tying run on deck. But if we see Riley, that wiggle room vanishes pretty quickly.
Well, it vanishes instantly.
Yeah.
And, you know, he threw a 3-2 change to Ronald Acuna, so you know he feels comfortable with the 3-2 pitch. But, again, this is a tough part when you have to decipher what you want to throw, what you want to ask for right here, because the tying run is on deck, and you don't want to walk Ozuna right here.
3-2 pitch is low. And that will bring up Riley as the tying run here with 2 outs in the ninth. Oh for 1 in his career against Cole Sulser. Right now, how big is that first play of the inning by Miggy? Swing and a miss, 0-1.
Enormous. I mean, you're one swing away from this game being tied, but if that play's not made, you're one swing away from the game being lost. So, huge play, but already ahead 0-1.
Knocked down again by Stallings. 1 ball and 1 strike after that stellar play by Rojas on Michael Harris II. Ronald Acuna Jr. struck out. Swanson doubled off the base of the wall in left center field. And then Ozuna walked, I should say. So those are the base runners with 2 outs in the 9th inning and a 4-1 Marlins lead. That time he goes to the changeup to get ahead 1-2.
Yeah, that's dirty right there. That's that split change. He's thrown him 3 in a row. So you might see them climb the ladder with a fastball up out of the zone or go right back to that split change down and in.
Just got a piece of it, and it was the changeup again.
You know, sometimes it's tough in this count, Paul, because 1-2 you think in your mind, okay, I can throw a fastball up right here just to show him, but then it backs me into the 2-2 count, right? And so if I throw one up there and I go 2-2, now I'm 1 ball away from a full count.
And he swings and misses. The tag applied. It's a Marlins win. Sandy Alcantara, brilliant again in back-to-back outings against the Braves. Matches a career high with 14 strikeouts. Didn't walk a batter, and he picks up the win this afternoon as the Marlins hold on for a 4-1 win, as Sulser gets the strikeout of Austin Riley as the tying run in the 9th.
What a game. What a complete game. A great job, Sulser getting that save right there. Cooper with the big hit. Miggy Rowe going deep on his late mom's birthday. And just a very feel-good game for the Marlins. And hopefully they can continue to roll from here, Paul.
Well, it was a fun afternoon for us as the Marlins win. Again, it was our advanced statter day for the month, so we got to take a look at a lot of different advanced metrics. Sandy Alcantara, by the way, 27 swings and misses en route to 14 strikeouts. A great day for Miguel Rojas on the field and in his heart for sure. We'll recap the day with Craig and Nelly coming up and hear from the skipper. For JP and Kelly and the rest of our crew, Paul Severino. See you tomorrow afternoon. Coverage starts at 1. First pitch a little after 1:30. I'm Paul Severino. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon. Marlins win it.